these FEMA camps and what may happen. I mean, if we have a major blackout with these solar flares that they're saying, and Snowden, the whistleblower, we're just nervous. That's why we came to the survival camp, Kaz. I wanted to come, but my girlfriend Courtney here, my fiance, she wanted to come because we're really worried of what may happen, and so we kind of want to be prepared a little bit in case we need to hide in the woods. And what if these FEMA camps are the same thing? They're trying to take our guns away. What if, and the UN has already said that we have to take our guns away. We already have contracts and treaties with the UN now saying that there's a four-step process to take our guns away. So what if we have a civil war, and they're going to start throwing us in these FEMA camps? They ordered 30,000 guillotines. Why would you order a guillotine? Because you want to cut somebody's head off. Why would you order 30,000 of them? Because you want to cut hundreds of thousands of people's heads off. That's the only reason. There's no other logical reason. And Congress approved this. Congress paid for this with our tax dollars. I'm scared. Me and my fiance are scared. So we wanted to come to Freedom for Kaz and learn some stuff for survival, because there's a high probability something's going to happen. They don't have 800 FEMA camps, and they don't man them and build these prison camps and build them all by railroads for no reason. There's a reason why they're doing it.
Right, and I think her name is Janet Napolitano or something like that from the Department of Homeland Security. She just stepped down as the leader, and they're going to appoint a new leader. And
that's smart.
She said that before she left office, she said two things are going to happen. She said one is that there's going to be a major natural disaster in the next 12 months somewhere in the United States. And there's going to be a major terrorist attack in the next 12 months somewhere in the mainland of the United States. Now, that goes hand in hand with exactly what you're talking about with the FEMA camps and what they plan on doing to use those for. Because if something like that does, I mean, if she's considering Hurricane Sandy or Hurricane Katrina small compared to what's really going to happen, then you're talking about multi-millions of people being displaced.
So what if she's got inside knowledge, which I believe she does, that something, and even Snowden said that we're going to have solar flares, and that's going to disable, all of our electronics and stuff in the near future. Now, it might happen a year from now instead of 2 months from now. We don't know that because you can't predict things that precise. But let's say it's a year from now. They know something's up. They're preparing for it.
Right.
And us people out here that aren't preparing for it are going to have major issues because we're going to starve. And we're going to get killed, and the women are going to be raped. And it's going to be in the middle of the winter for a lot of America, and we're going to freeze to death because it's not like the old days where you have a fireplace. You can go out and cut wood and make a fire in your house. People in New York City or all these big cities, they rely on the government. They rely on natural gas. They rely on, these big corporations to keep them warm, and to Walmart and these big stores to feed them. What are you going to do when you can't go to the store to buy food? What are you going to do when you don't have any food stocked up? And what pisses me off is the FBI and the CIA and the government, they have specifically said that we're not allowed to have food stocked up for more than 7 days, and if we do, we're a potential terrorist.
And you know what's funny about that is in the 20s and 30s, the government encouraged people to stock up on food. They encourage people to fill their cellars and share with one another. And now it's the opposite, John. You're exactly right. Now it's the opposite. They're telling people that you can't store food and you can't store ammunition and you can't do all these things that people used to do. Now that they're so attached to the infrastructure of the government for utilities. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct.
It's against the law in a lot of states to even collect rainwater.
It is.
How can you tell somebody that they can't drink purified rainwater, which may not be purified because of our polluted toxic air, but it's better than a lot of the water we get out of our wells because of the contamination from oil spills and oil contamination and fracking and nuclear and they're just on and on, all these corporations polluting us.
Okay, so let's say next week we're all home, right? We're all home next week, and some man-made or natural disaster comes along, wipes out our infrastructure. What happens next? Wipes out our infrastructure. We got no telephone, we got no electricity, no internet. Can't communicate with your relatives in the next county. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
Chaos.
What happens?
There's going to be a lot of killing.
Chaos happens.
Everybody's going to
sorry.
steal from everybody else because they want what they didn't stock up. So the people that did stock up and were smart enough to learn and know what to do in case there's a disaster.
So there's going to be a lot of people stealing. They're going to have to. They're going to be hungry.
Right.
They're going to, I mean, even honest men are going to try to feed their starving children and their family.
That's true.
There's going to be absolute pandemonium.
Hush.
I would say 2/3 to 3/4 of the people will die within the first 3 weeks. So you need to survive for the first month. You need to make it past that first 4 weeks. Now, I am prepared to not leave my house for 3 months. I have a stack of I have 62 sheets of OSB stacked up in my garage. I can board up every window, and I have a huge house. I have a 1,400 square foot garage with a toilet and sink and fireplace in it. I am prepared to not leave my property and not let anybody on it. There'll be a ring of dead bodies around my perimeter, and that ought to tell people, don't go near that house. That house doesn't like people.
But also, Hush 101, the big important thing is you have to be part of a smaller community of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be able to do this. Me and Courtney can't survive by ourselves.
I will belong to a smaller community of people. I will belong to the community of people that makes it past the first 4 weeks.
But the people that make it past the first 4 weeks are still going to want to steal what you have. They're not going to be your friend.
I believe.
Like I said, there'll be a ring of dead bodies around my perimeter.
Sure there will, but you can't watch every window. You can't stop everybody. No matter how much you try, you need part of your family. You're going to have some of your family come to your house and say, we need help because you're smarter than us.
I have enough people to watch the compass points. Yes, I do.
But that's important.
Yes.
And like me and Courtney, we have a few places that we've talked to a few people where we possibly can go because if something happens, you need 4 to 8 people at least because you have to sleep sometimes, and people have to take watches, and you have to guard the doors and stuff, and you have to have enough food stocked up, and so that's what we've been doing. We've been stocking up our food. We've been preparing, getting weapons, getting medical, because if something happens, I mean, just aspirin alone is going to be so vital.
If something happens, you are on your own. No government, no local, state agency going to help you. You are on your own.
Well, and what's really scary is the government's pretty much against us if that happens.
Yes,
they're not going to protect us. They're going to. I really believe this is about depopulation.
Yeah.
I really think that our government, or worldwide, the world order, the powers that may be that control everything through financial situations, they have actually figured out that the only way that they're going to be sustainable for hundreds of generations to come is if they wipe out everybody in the world.
Yeah. We are already at peak corn production in the growable areas of corn. Now, we keep sending a lot of money and a lot of food overseas to feed these people, when I think educating them and letting them grow their own food would be a better solution, but what do I know?
Well, a lot of this is all politics. They don't really care about feeding the people over in, let's just say, South America or Africa. I don't believe that our government really cares about that. They just want power. They want to be able to send money to them, send food to them, to have some authority, to have bases over there, to have power over there, to have control. That's what I believe. I don't believe, like right now in Syria.
Sort of a passive-aggressive movement on a grand scale, huh?
Yes, of course. They want right now to go over in Syria, no different than Iraq. It's all about oil. Syria wants to build a pipeline or have a pipeline go through Syria to go to Russia. Guess what? America doesn't want that. So America is doing a false flag to start a war, to say that we need to go to war because they're using chemical weapons. Our own government has used chemical weapons against us. You even told me about a situation. I know of a situation where I saw a documentary that our government used radiation in a city, and they tested people for 20 years to figure out how bad it was. They would set off small nuclear bombs or atom bombs, and they would have the military guys walk towards it, and then they would test them for years to come to see how much radiation and when they were going to die from cancer or from the radiation. And so our government is more, they're cruel, they're horrible. I love my country. You fought for your country, I fought for my country, but guess what? Our country doesn't care about us.
Oh, I know that.
And I know you know that. That's why we're out here.
You got a place to go, Kaz?
Yep.
You?
And you can't even talk about these places
But
where you're
see,
going to go because they're going to come looking
here's
for
the
us.
thing, okay? You've got to have a multi-layered plan.
Oh, and I do.
With backup.
You know, you got to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. And I talked to a lot of people about this, and the most common answer that I get, oddly enough, is I'm just gonna jump in my 4x4 and head up north and live in the forest for 6 months. Well, the problem with that is that there's about 10,000 other people who have that exact same idea.
Maybe 100,000.
So that's not gonna work. So and here's another thing. For the people who do have a bug out location or a place that they can go to, I ask them this question: what if you get to that bug out location and it's already been looted? Now what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go?
You only have one tank of gas. What do you do?
And that's another thing that I say, to them. Is it going to be safe to drive on the road? Are they going to have checkpoints? Or is the traffic going to be so bad that it would be actually faster to use a bicycle or be on foot?
What if it's like the movie Red Dawn, where America allows Russian troops to come and take over our country, parts of it? What if it's scheduled that way? What if it's planned? We're fighting, just the common man is fighting Russian troops. And we know that's factual because they've already signed documents that we can have thousands of Russian troops in our country. Why? If they talk about jobs and unemployment, how can anybody talk about Americans not having jobs when you spend billions of dollars to send Russians in different countries over here to train, and we pay them to do it? We pay for their military equipment. We pay for their ammunition. Why would we pay for that? Why don't we just pay for Americans to have jobs, American military people, instead of sending them overseas and having them killed? It's ridiculous what we're doing to these American men and women.